Internet use violations, threats over the World Wide Web. So in this particular case study, this is a high school located in an affluent community. It has a student population with secure financial means. Most of the parents are professionals, so they're doctors, lawyers, partners at investment firms. So that means most of the students are financially stable. They're up to date. They have the most up to date technology, fashion, because of their financial means. The principal there is an experienced principal, been at that particular school for 10 plus years, has experience, has recognition, was recognized as secondary principal of the year 2 years ago, has a high respect from parents and students, and has one of the high performing schools in the state. Principal Dr. Smith is very particular about his hiring of teachers and make sure they're very qualified for the position. He just hired a new teacher, beginning teacher, Miss Tate. She is teaching specialized science curriculum, so zoology, botany, genetics. She has her bachelor's degree, master's, and 1 year of postgraduate school. But this is her first time in the classroom. She's a second year teacher. And some parents are having some concerns, and students, about the rigor of her class and the stress that it's causing the students. Because Dr. Smith has gotten a lot of parent and student complaints about this teacher, he has begun working with Miss Tate about using techniques to build relationships with students and to reduce student stress. However, Miss Tate has not been implementing those techniques, and the students and parents are still complaining to Dr. Smith. The students and teachers have a long weekend, and Miss Tate gets home from visiting her parents and is checking her email and opens an email that has some information and a connection to a Facebook page where there are students making comments about her, and some of them are threatening. One including saying that they wish she would disappear. Miss Tate is very upset about this and kind of rattled. She calls Dr. Smith and shares her concerns, forwards him the email. She's concerned about her safety because it was a threat against her life. Dr. Smith tries to calm Miss Tate down and says they'll handle the situation. And they talk through it. He asked her about students who may have had an issue before break that may have posted something like this. Miss Tate gave a student's name. Dr. Smith said they would meet first thing in the morning and discuss this with the student, and also discussed talking with the IT person to see if they can address or find out who the email belongs to that the comments were made. So the plan was to meet first thing in the morning. Miss Tate ended up staying with her parents that night because she was scared for her safety. Okay, so what do I know? I know Dr. Smith, the principal, is very well liked by the students, parents. He has respect. He's been recognized as an outstanding principal with a high-performing school. Miss Tate is in her second year of teaching. She's just starting out in the education. This is her first experience in the classroom. She teaches specialized science classes, and multiple parents and students have complained and reported to Dr. Smith that her class is very rigorous with a high workload, which is causing very high stress levels for students. And Dr. Smith has been working with Miss Tate on implementing instructional strategies and techniques that build relationships with their students and try to reduce that stress level for students. However, Ms. Tate has not implemented those techniques into her instruction. Students and parents are still upset and still reporting to Dr. Smith about the class. After a long weekend, Ms. Tate checks her email. She finds a link to a Facebook page. It has rude and threatening comments about her class, including one that's threatening she would disappear and a threat towards her life. Dr. Smith asked Ms. Tate if there's any particular student that may have done this. Ms. Tate assumes a particular student may have created this page and reports that to Dr. Smith. Dr. Smith says they will meet first thing with that student and his friends first thing in the morning to get to the bottom of the issue and also talk to an IT specialist to see if they can find where the email address is connected to. Okay, so what information do I need to know? Can the school track the email account for who created the page and made those threatening comments? Does the district have that capability to see where it started and who participated? Is there a policy in place for internet usage or acceptable use policy? Is there a policy in place about social media or Facebook? What policy is in place for threats towards others in the district, students or teachers? Does law enforcement need to be involved? When did this occur? Did it occur during school hours, after school hours? Some other important information would be, did Ms. Tate try to implement those techniques that Dr. Smith has been working with her on and just did not do so successfully, or did she just choose not to do that, to use them? Has she been evaluated? What do those evaluations look like? Does she collaborate with her colleagues? Is the classwork comparable to other classes? The problem is that a student or students made a threat on a teacher's life and derogatory comments towards a teacher online. The teacher doesn't have student-parent respect. The principal is highly regarded, but because of this incident and the reports from parents may lose some of that, but cyberbullying threat made towards a teacher. Action plan, determine the seriousness of the threat, investigate parties involved, and provide consequences accordingly. I think the important thing is to find out what students participated in the online threats, and those students need to be pulled accordingly. First step is, I think, district administration needs to be aware of the situation, and the principal needs to call and discuss the policies in place and actions and keep the district admin informed about the investigation. The next step would be to contact IT director, begin investigation of the source of the Facebook page. Can we get access to the email of the account holder, find out who was involved and made those comments? I think that as a principal with the threat of a teacher's life, that Dr. Smith needs to meet with Ms. Tate first thing in the morning. I think a guest teacher, substitute teacher, should be placed in that classroom until the situation is resolved. Step 4 would be to review records of complaints from students' parents from the past 2 weeks, meet with each of those students individually, and ask them about the knowledge of the Facebook page and the comments. See if we can get anywhere with that step to finding out who made the threat and the comments. If the students who created this site are identified, they individually need to be pulled and discuss their intent and seriousness of the threat and comments made online. Documentation of all comments should be kept, and there should be a record of the comments and threats made. The Facebook page and the comments should be removed at that point. follow district policy for consequences for threatening another student or teacher, which may be suspension or expulsion, which could cause the principal some pushback from parents. Check in with district administration, keep them informed, make sure you're following policies and procedures of the school board. Uh, Step 10, I think an improvement plan needs to be in place for Ms. Tate, working to improve her instructional strategies, including monthly evaluations and growth towards improvement plan goals, working on improving her parent-student relationships. Student and teacher safety is at stake here, whether it was a prank or not. The threat needs to be taken seriously and was made towards a teacher online, and it was a threat towards her life. Teacher and student safety are compromised at this time, and the issue needs to be handled with seriousness and consequences based on school policies. And this affects the personal well-being of students and teachers. Students involved in the creation of the page and the comments that were made should have appropriate consequences based on the school board, district building policies and procedure, and the harmful comments made by, and the consequences for the students. I think it's important to be proactive in the future. Did this school provide digital citizenship training and curriculum for all students? If not, that would be something that needs to be implemented ASAP, as soon as possible, and be implemented every year after. It should include cyberbullying, social media, internet usage, acceptable use, all of those digital citizenship skills. Miss Tate needs to be put on a plan of improvement. If Dr. Smith has worked with her on techniques to improve instructions and student interactions and they are not being implemented, I believe that a documented plan of improvement should be started. It should have goals, observations, evaluations, maybe a mentor teacher to support her and work with her on instructional techniques and the rigor of her class. And then hopefully this will help the state promote academic success and build those relationships with parents and students. Responding to this issue, there's many issues and values that were questioned. When I was trying to come up with the action plan, I was thinking, was the school capable of identifying the students involved? What are the district policies and procedures in place? Was it a prank or real threat? Even if it was a prank, it needed to be handled as a serious threat. Did law enforcement need to be involved? What policies, again, were in place? Was there a curriculum in place for digital citizenship, cyberbullying? Did it take place during the school day? Was it after school hours? If it happened after school hours, can the district still hold the students accountable? If the district doesn't have policies in place, what would be the next step? Could that possibly lead to a lawsuit if there were no policies or procedures in place? As a leader, you're responsible for the safety of students of teachers. Threats need to be taken seriously. I think it's important to take a proactive approach. So digital citizen curriculum would be important to have in place. Ms. Tate's instructional strategies were also concerning to me. Did she have an improvement plan? Was she on an improvement plan? Did she need to be on one? What were the next steps for the principal to take to help support her to become a better teacher? How did I, the educational leader, at the building level, apply knowledge that promotes success using integrity. And the principal has a strong community parent respect. He's a high-performing school with a lot of parent support. Principal makes sure he hires highly qualified teachers, continually supports those teachers. Even the teachers struggling, he provides techniques and strategies to help them improve. And the principal has clear procedures and policies in place for internet usage, acceptable use, cyberbullying, and safety of students. Handles all threats with seriousness. Principal acts with fairness, investigates the problem, has multiple discussions, gets to the bottom of it, it would be important as a leader to not make any accusations until all the facts are clear and there's clear evidence of what happened and who was involved. So making sure that you're completing the investigation, you have all the facts and evidence first. How does the building leader act in an ethical manner? Again, building that strong community and parent respect. Parents feel like they can come and talk to the principal and share their concerns. The principal listens to parents, students, teachers, responds accordingly, working with Ms. Tate to work on her instruction. When the threat was made against Ms. Tate, taking it seriously and handling the problem head on. Again, following school district policies and procedures clearly, not just brushing the issue off, even if it was a prank, investigating the threat and taking it seriously to keep the students and teachers safe.